Hello and welcome back to Allie Bakes, where I am baking my way through the Cordon Bleu Pastry School textbook. Today we're having a go at these chocolate marble cakes. To be honest, we're running out of recipes in this book that don't scare the absolute crap out of me, so we're gonna enjoy it while we can. I've heard it's easier to bake when your apron matches your pants, so come along with me, pour yourself a glass of your favorite $10 bodega wine, and let's get started. To start out, we are preheating our oven to 338 degrees Fahrenheit. I decided not to cheat this time, so I actually got 3 14 by 6 centimeter loaf tins, which I buttered and floured. So to start rolling on this cake batter, we have 180 grams of unsalted room temperature butter going into a mixer until it reaches a creamy consistency. And once again, the Cordon Bleu hitting us with 180 grams of icing sugar instead of regular white sugar into our batter. And I want to do research on what impact this has on the consistency or the bake, but that all gets beat together with the butter. After that, we are incorporating 3.5 eggs into our mixture. I'd be interested to see how they came up with that measurement, but we're rolling with it, and that gets beat together with our butter and our sugar. Now, I finally bit the bullet and I invested in some Madagascar vanilla bean pods, from which I scraped these vanilla beans out of, which are going into our batter. I really want to use those vanilla beans to make homemade vanilla extract, so stay tuned. There might be a little video about that coming soon. But those got mixed into our batter and made my kitchen just smell ridiculous. Now I'm putting a teaspoon of baking powder into 240 grams of plain flour and giving that a good mix before I slowly add that to our batter. Speaking of investing in stuff, I'm about 1 bowl scrape away from investing in the KitchenAid attachment, which scrapes your bowl for you, because this is ridiculous. Now, after that is all combined, I of course am going to pull the hair out of my batter that had fallen in somehow during this process. My hair is completely tied back and I refuse to bake in my own kitchen wearing a hairnet, so we're gonna keep getting hairs in our batter until I go bald, I guess. Anyway, 1/3 of our vanilla batter is going to get scraped into a bowl so we can turn it into chocolate batter for our marble cakes. And we're going to do that by combining 100 milliliters of milk with 20 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder and stirring that together until it forms a paste. And let us have a moment of appreciation for my apron that my mom got me. We're going to pour our chocolate paste into the 1/3 of our cake batter that we separated, and we're going to mix that together until it turns into chocolate cake batter. And now, the marbling begins. So I'm pouring the vanilla cake batter into my 3 little cake tins. If I really cared, not that I don't care, but if I really cared, I probably would have measured this to make sure they were even, but we were just eyeballing it. So vanilla goes in first, and then the chocolate gets poured on top. There was a stark difference in consistency between these two batters, obviously, because I added 100 milliliters of liquid to one of them. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. You just kind of have to trust the book with these kind of things. But ooh, that chocolate cake smelled and looked so delicious. Then the book just told me to use a fork to try to get that swirl on the top and throughout the cake. I couldn't really tell how good of a job I was doing because I definitely didn't want it to just turn to, garbled mush. I wanted to maintain the swirlage and the marbling. I think they turned out looking pretty cute, so I gave them a good tap on my cutting board to make sure there were no air bubbles. And then I put those things in the oven and set my timer for 35 minutes. Now the first thing I noticed around the halfway point is they looked like beautiful little bread loaves in the oven. I was worried because my loaf tins were like a hair smaller than those indicated in the book that they were gonna bake way too fast. So I did the knife test and I disemboweled one of my cakes, but it was fine. I just put them back in the oven. I ended up pulling them out at exactly 35 minutes and they passed the knife test. They were good to go. I pulled them out and they looked so cute. Even the one that I had stabbed in the heart kind of looked cute. They did have a crusty exterior for a cake, but I have never baked cakes this small, so I don't know if that's just a casualty that comes with baking in these little loaf tins. Now, usually when you bake cakes, you want to take them out of the tins pretty quick and let them cool. The book did not tell me whether to take them out of the tins or not, so I kind of tested one. I ran a knife around the edge and flipped it out to see if it would deflate, and it was dense enough that it held its own, so I went ahead and took the other two out of their tins as well. Now, I was really hoping that I would get a beautiful marble swirl as soon as I cut into this thing, and I did not, so I really had to kind of hunt for that marbly look because clearly I didn't mix the batters with my fork well enough. The inside of the cake kind of just ended up looking like a uterus, which, you know, very topical. But I was just relieved that they were baked all the way through and they didn't have that brown ring around the edge to indicate that they were overbaked, so I chomped right into that uterus cake. You know, in my honest opinion, that's the blandest cake I've ever tasted in my life. I don't know why. It's like, I don't know if I overbaked it. It's like almost has the consistency of bread. Like, it's got a really crunchy outside, and like, it's got like a nice soft, like I think the middle's moist. Damn it, I think it's overbaked. I think it's overbaked. I think even if it wasn't overbaked, it would still just be like, cake. And I don't know if that's because it doesn't have butter in it. Oh, it does have butter in it. Maybe because it's powdered sugar and not white sugar? I don't know. If someone served that to me on my birthday, I would be upset. I think it looks good, but that ain't it. In defense of my non-marbled marble chocolate cakes, I tried them when they were cool and they tasted much better because I got more of the chocolate flavor. Nevertheless, this is riding at like a 5 out of 10 for me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.